So I just got done playing Eternights, and ever since I saw this during Sony's showcase, I have had my eyeballs on this game. This heavily Persona-inspired game by somebody who definitely loves the genre and knows what they're doing with it. But does this game hit that same level of captivation as the games it takes inspiration from? Let's talk about it. I'm Dom, I'm from the Game Leaders, and I just enjoyed a really cool about hour or so experience playing Eternights, and I'm ready to talk about it here. So first off, Eternights is brought to us by Studio Psy. I've been following this guy for a while since the PlayStation Showcase. This guy is awesome. I've been watching him on Twitter for quite some time. I believe his name is Jay. Really cool person on Twitter, and I've been really following their work on this game. I've been following their YouTube channel and the little updates that they've had so far. They've been posting things very regularly, like the different English, Korean, and Japanese voice actors that they've gotten for the game, and I've been really excited to jump in. So how is it? Well, my first impressions actually are really, really good. What kind of caught me off guard, I guess didn't catch me off guard, but I mean, like, I've been following the game, but I guess I didn't really know, when fingers hit the buttons, I didn't really know what to expect. I knew it was an action RPG going in, but I didn't know how much or how little actual input the player would have. And this reminds me very similarly of games, I would say, like Yeast, like the Yeast games, or more recently I would put this in the same kind of like realm as like Scarlet Nexus. And if you're familiar with those kind of RPGs, I would say you're gonna be really in the wheelhouse here of kind of like the gameplay style that this has to offer. It's those hack and slash type style, but it also has QTE moments, and it also has combos that you can hit as well too. Now, the little bit of time I had with it didn't go too in depth in the methods, but there are different things like dodging and like flurry attacks, if you're familiar with the term from like Zelda, and you have different combo meters and different QTE moments within those combo meters that you can build up. And the reason I wanted to start talking about gameplay initially is with it being an action RPG as opposed to a turn-based RPG like the games that inspired it, it might be off-putting to you, or it might be something that you're really excited about. To me, I'm kind of lukewarm on it a little bit, because for me personally, action RPGs aren't exactly my favorite thing in the world. I don't necessarily mind them, and I do understand the reason that most developers go the way of action RPG is more input from the player means, more things the player can do, as opposed to turn-based where you're just kind of choosing your next move and stuff. Now, I still prefer turn-based, so my lukewarmness is just going to be because of my preference, but I definitely understand why developers go this way. What I would love to see as the game fully comes out, I think it comes out in September or it says summer 2023, but I believe this drops in September. What I would love to see, and I hope to see more of, is that expanded nature of the gameplay and the combat. I would like to see more combos. I would like to see more things that we can do that kind of keep the gameplay interesting and fun, because the gameplay to me can be the one thing that kind of is the detriment to the game if it begins to get a little stale 3, 5, 10 hours into the experience. Now, for the rest of the package here, I've already talked about gameplay, which is the one thing that kind of gives me the most pause for worry as the game kind of comes out later on, as the one thing that can get a little bit stale as the game as the game officially comes out. I think that's the one thing that is either going to fully engage players or that might throw them off. Personally, I think if they actually went like the Soul Hackers 2 route here, where it was, you dungeon explore and then you go into turn-based, kind of thing, I think that would have been maybe a more appealing choice just for me as a player. All right, we're done talking about gameplay. Let's talk about the rest of the package. So, Eternights essentially takes place with you immediately trying to sign up for a dating app, like a Tinder type app, and you and your buddy are trying to basically get some girls, and much like every other young boy is out there. And it begins to kind of go down that path of, okay, you're going to do all these things. You're going to immediately introduce all the dating stuff into us. And I definitely really appreciated that, because there was a lot of comedical elements that you, right out the gate, the moment that you're going to be signing up for this dating app with your buddy, that you can engage in with your friend. And I love the comedic writing. I think they nail it here. But essentially the game takes place, and there is a apocalypse that ends up occurring, and this apocalypse is going to doom the world, and you get put into a bunker, and you immediately come to find the most popular girl in Japan at the moment. You get to be in a bunker with her, and you begin to see different ways that this story might end up progressing outwards as you meet more people and things like that. You also get your arm cut off, and I think that's one of the big mainstays of the game. Is during the story of the game, you get your arm cut off, and the arm is basically your weapon. You're gifted like a cyber magical arm by some goddess lady who recruits you to her team. During the story, they explain to you that there's basically a yin and yang going on. There's two different gods in this world, and one that's kind of causing the apocalypse right now is to basically get a leg up on the other. The other, which is the one that you represent, is supposedly, I'll put in quotations that you can't see, is trying to save the world, or at least trying to save this version of the world as you know it. You go on her team, whether you like it or not. But the game does give you many different options to say no to her, but it puts you in a never-ending loop if you do try and say no. And basically that's how you get started here, and you continue to go and fight these apocalyptic humans turned zombies within the different corridors and different dungeons as the game actually ends up opening up, as it seems to give us later on. We'll have different versions of it. Through this little slice of the game, we only played the bunker. But, as the game opens up, I imagine there's going to be a lot of different corridors and dungeons that the game will offer us. Now, the one thing I don't know is how long this game's going to be. But regardless, circling all the way back to what I said earlier with the different options and things that you can save for dialogue, the writing so far is really, really good. And it has a lot of comedic elements to it. It gives your player, who is a insert player, which basically just means you can name it whomever you want. And it could basically be just like you through the player. So you get to name your character whatever you want, and you get to basically live vicariously through this player. And it offers you a lot of different dialogue options, and all these dialogue options branch off into a ton of different things that are going to supposedly affect the game and who you get relationships with, who you don't, etc. And I like all the different variations of the options that it gives you. You can say no to a lot of things. You can call people assholes. You can call people names, and you get different. You get different points and different additives based on how you respond, which I've always really loved that since Mass Effect did it originally. I've always loved that nature of your choices really affect your experience. Whether it be very small, just like who you can make friends with or not, or who you can romance, to something big like the actual ending of the game. So I really love that quite a bit. The other thing that I'll say, the very last thing, is I think that Studio Sai is really nailing the expressiveness of their characters. They have very anime-esque expressions, like very surprised faces, really disgusted faces, blushing, all kinds of things. I think they're nailing all of that, along with the gore element that they have here too. There's a lot of things that I went, oh crap, OSH word. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this and this is happening. Within this little over an hour slice, I was like, whoa, I can't believe that just happened. And the fact that it's pulling those out of me, is pulling those expressions out of me, and then I'm able to see the expressions on the actual characters within the game, is awesome to see. So far, I'm loving the game. I'm absolutely looking forward to playing more of this come September. I can't wait to cover more of it here on the channel, with not only a formal review that I'll have for the game when it actually ends up dropping, Studio Sai looking at you to hook it up, but also going to have a lot of different tips and walkthroughs, and kind of different guides that I can help you guys with when the game inevitably drops later on this year. But definitely go out and play the demo, available on Steam right now, and I'm assuming coming later on to PlayStation down the line. Alright, any other questions you have on Eternights based on my slice, put them down in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. And of course, I'll see you for more Eternights content very soon. Peace.